And welcome back, everybody, to Vaesen, Seasons of Mystery, The Devil on the Moor. In our last installment, our new group of investigators is following up on a telegram that they received from one Preben Rasmussen of the Moorland Society. It has taken them to the blasted heath of northern Denmark in pursuit of answers as to why the society's pursuits of modernizing and reclaiming the land for agriculture, it seems to be being sabotaged by entities, human or otherwise. It is the morning at the Grimstead Tavern after a night of talking with the locals and gathering information and a excited and somewhat let's get a move along. Jens Ludvigsen is waking everybody up. We've got to go. We've got to go. If Crowmooter has a hearty breakfast waiting for us, but it's time to get out to the work site to show you what we found.
You going to kill me if I don't get out of this bed within the next 10 minutes?
And he kind of looks around. I know, but
Good.
maybe
Come back in 20 and
but-
then just...
but Preben, Mr. Rasmussen, oh dear. You're all in a large space, very much like a hostel. You're on cots. You're not like in rooms or anything.
Is the sun already up?
It's thinking about it.
Yep. Edvard is already up then.
Trish will get up and start their calisthenics. They'll do their stretching.
I will go and assuage our overeager friend.
Do they not understand the importance of, as he talks to you, Ernst? We've got to go.
I understand. You are going to be better off with a group that is well rested and prepared than with a group that has rushed off and is unprepared. They have their own methods. All things in their season. In the
Ready to
meantime,
go?
And then Edvard comes up the stairs because he wasn't there, but he was already awake.
And
Just like, are we not ready yet?
how
I'm
did
ready.
you get that? You just started. But she's still in her bed.
Oh,
we
I'll get
all
her.
keep
I'll go.
slightly different hours.
I'll just tip her over off the side of the cot. Up and at 'em, sweetheart.
I'll go get down and get my breakfast. And he just kind of flustered makes his way downstairs to the main room.
I'll accompany the poor man.
I will as well.
So as Trish pushes Tatiana out of the bed, she goes, Krolitska, and a jar
breakfast is
with an
waiting.
animal in formaldehyde rolls from out of her bedroll. And she reaches for it, like one arm out of the blanket.
Your precious little stuffed doll is. Oh, this thing feels real. It's fine. It's fine. Here you go. We'll just put this right by your pillow, and we'll be waiting for you for tonight. Come on, let's go get some breakfast. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Yeah.
Which is what your doll smells like for some reason.
Tatiana will keep her Krolichka with her and just take the blanket from the bed and just wear it as a cape and go downstairs.
I'm already bouncy and energetic.
Downstairs is just Jen's and, of course, your group. And Crowmooter is bringing breakfast? Question mark? From the kitchen. It's I'm not even going to try to pretend I know what it is. It's probably a gruel of some sort, and probably a little bit of unidentifiable protein that was put into an animal casing at some point.
Ah, my favorite.
Mm. Mystery meat.
Best not
Ah,
to
yes,
dwell.
unidentifiable protein.
Crowmooter, as she's serving everybody, I hope you slept well.
I thought I did.
I
Are
did
you-
as well.
Slept
you-
great.
are you-
Crack. Crack.
It's impressive. I used to be able to do something like that in my youth, but then, and then she slaps her peg leg. I kind of lost my dexterity.
Understandable.
Julius is already up. He's taking care of the wagon and the horses. He'll be in a moment. And then she turns to step, clop, her way back to the back kitchen. Jens is eating fast. He's kind of wolfing it down. I'm afraid I can't say that the food's going to be much better when we get to the campsite, so hopefully this is up to your liking.
It suffices perfectly.
Dig in. It's probably not anything worse than I'm used to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
It
Food.
is not as bad as military rations, I would take it.
Yeah.
I just feel like, the grain does not have any weevils in it. It is a fine meal indeed.
Free food's always the best food.
Absolutely.
Question storyteller. Does coffee exist at this time in
Coff-
this part of the world?
Coffee exists. Coffee exists in this part of the world, but coffee doesn't exist at the Grimstead Tavern. Again, you are looking at things that are produced locally. Does not seem to be a tremendous amount of trade for that kind of. I would say that these folks would call it a luxury and something from the outside. So there's still a fair
Tea?
amount of.
Any
There's tea.
from
There's
local
tea.
leaves?
There's
Can
tea.
I- strong
Yes.
cup of tea.
Yes, there's definitely tea. If you are asking for that tea would be a thing. Yes.
Okay. So she's going to down 2 cups of tea before fully waking up and folding the blanket and putting it on her lap. A couple of bites of unidentified mystery meat and mostly the gruel.
Julius, after some time, comes in through the front door. He has everything on that he needs, his heavy jacket and his outfit. It sort of looks like, now that you can see him in the daytime, it looks like at once upon a time it might have been a little bit more polished up and formal as a uniform. But you do get the sense that at one point somebody gave that to somebody to be one of the post officers, if you will, to run post and to run people along a circuit. Are we ready to go? Ready to go out to the Moorland Society? And of course, Jens pops up and says, I hope so, and starts to collect the things around him. And I'll see you out at the wagon. And heads out the front.
Edvard would probably be done with meal at this point and just calmly get up and be like, yes. And just calmly walk out.
I'm going to check on the state of my companions here. Seeing whether Tatiana has in fact fully awakened yet or is still. Okay. Going to make sure that Tatiana wakes up successfully before we depart.
Edvard kind of figured Trish would be taking care of that. That's why he left.
Yeah, Tatiana is at least not grumbling and complaining that you have to kill her to get her to move at this point, but she's still not very talkative, especially since she's having to carry her own bag and her little wolf friend is Wow, I am having a bad brain night. Um, she's having to carry the kennel for her wolf who is not in his kennel, and she's very put out that she has to carry her own luggage and
Would
two
you
pieces of luggage.
would you like some help with that? I mean, more than happy to help.
No, no,
And
it's
Julius
fine.
reaches out to carry the kennel.
Snatches it away. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I understand. It's not my
And
place to barge in. But if you need help in the future, I carry lots of things. I transport lots of people.
yeah, from the kennel, she's going to pull out a large animal pelt that she'll kind of wrap over her shoulders in expectation of what the Moors will hold.
And Julius makes his way out as well. So we're taking a look at what you wrote in on the previous night. It's a carriage. It's a stagecoach sort of design, enclosed and whatnot. It's been a little bit tweaked at the end, so it doesn't just carry like a chest. It's got a little bit of a extra platform to be able to strap additional things onto it to carry cargo and the like. And he will help anybody in who wants to hop in. And he gets the sense that if somebody joined him at shotgun, he wouldn't be upset by it.
Trish is up there. Front seat check. They'll do like a little like flip onto the seat, you know.
Excellent. As you flip up onto the seat, as everybody else, I'm assuming, is getting inside the wagon, let's get this party started. Trish, would you do me a favor? I think
Okay.
I'd like you to make an observation for me, please.
Okay. Oh, wait. Do I?
Yeah, you can just
Oh.
grab.
Is it supposed to be 4 of them? Wow.
Yes, it'll be your skill plus the base attribute. And that's a success.
Okay.
That's great. Because as you make your flip onto the bench next to Julius, your eyes in the natural arc of your body's movement make their way to the top of Grimstead Tavern. Where there you see a large, what appears to be a heron, but it's a heron that you haven't seen before, and it's black,
Like a
almost
species of
completely
heron I
black.
can't recognize.
Yeah, this is a heron unlike anything you've seen before. And because of that success, what you really get is a good look at its face. It's a large beak, maybe larger than what a heron's ought to be, 2 eyes. And at the same time as you're locking in on its eyes, something that you saw earlier comes into clarity and focus. Yesterday, you tried to look at Tatiana's drawing. And Tatiana's drawing didn't make much sense. And Tatiana was saying, there's a bird here. And you're like, in a Rorschach sort of way? Sure. But you look at this heron and its eyes. It's featureless eyes, except that it's not featureless. It just doesn't have an iris or anything. It is radiating a green light. And
A
that
halo.
kind of a halo, but kind of like slow wisps of illuminated, maybe fog rolling off of its eyes. I would like you to do me a small favor. I need you to roll a fear test for me, please.
Uh-oh. He's
Now
trying to
you,
intimidate me.
So what happens with the fear test, of course, is you get your choice. You can either use your emotional state to overcome the fear, and that way you would roll empathy. However, you could reason and ration your way out of your fear, at which point you would roll logic. This is a fear test 1, so you need 1 success.
Okay. So I choose empathy because I feel like in this moment I'm very curious. I just woke up. I'm very excited about my new adventure and my new life. So I'm gonna do empathy. Oof. No, no good.
Now, it is no good at the moment, but you do have options.
Oh, yeah, I can take a point, right? Or
You can push this if you want.
so I already have two conditions exited out. Did they refresh over the last break?
Which
See,
conditions
these
did
are
you?
ones that you took from our ghost adventure at the castle, like our prologue.
Yeah,
thing,
you
right?
should have
Yeah.
cleared
Yeah,
those.
those
Yeah,
are clear.
Okay.
those are cleared.
Oops. Let me clear them out. Okay. Gosh, I don't know. Angry, frightened, hopeless, broken.
No. These are. Wait. Yeah, these should be mental conditions.
Okay.
So don't take a physical condition. I mean, you don't have to push it. We can find out what happens.
Oh, yeah. I want to find out what happens since I think this is the first time. Might as well.
All right.
I mean, it's just a big scary bird. What's the worst that could happen?
Right. So I would like you to make a choice. In your moment of fear, do you flee? Do you run away? Do you freeze? Do you faint? Do you attack? Now, attack here means you could try to make your way to this thing, or you could just wreck the place like you're, like you're in a room and you're gonna break every glass in the place or whatever. So you could wreck the place. I don't think Julius will appreciate that. But those are your choices. You can flee, freeze, faint, or rage.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting on this bench on this cart. So, I mean, wreck the place. Would I wreck the cart?
You would try to you would attack your surroundings. Maybe Julius, maybe the cart.
Can I grab him and shake him and be like, "What is that thing? Look at that huge ass bird!"
That's probably something that you get to do if you overcame your fear. Right now, the mammal brain's not at home and is taking messages, and we're living in our reptile brain right now.
I guess I'll attack him. I'll just sock him
Okay, fantastic. Roll close combat.
Excellent.
Okay.
You punch Julius.
Give him a punch. Oh, and I get a success.
And you do a success.
Please say he's not dead.
Now Julius doesn't see that this is coming. So he can't declare that he wants to dodge. So he's sitting here with his reins and he's about ready to say, "Albrecht, let's go." And he's going to, do the classic, snap the reins. And he gets punched in the shoulder and he's like, "Ow, what did you do that for?" And he turns to you. Now, hang on here a second. There's still one mechanic left, and I need you to roll a die 6 for me, please.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
Just roll one die 6. Yep.
Okay, that's probably bad.
Okay. So your attack and his response are 1 round. You are now going to attack him just for 1 more round. So you're in attack mode for 2 rounds. That's what that die 6 means. Now, I want to give the people in the carriage an opportunity to be involved in this second round. So in these last 6 seconds, you have heard Trish shriek, and then you've heard Julius. You've probably heard the attack. You've probably heard the shoulder get hit. This dull thok of 2 frozen T-bones being slapped together, right? And so now you 3 are and you've heard Julius, "Oh, what did you do that for?" So let's start inside the carriage. What is it that anybody, if anything, you want to do with this data?
Oh, I'm rushing straight out to see what's going on.
Excellent.
So is that guard.
Disaster.
Okay.
Tatiana is probably napping on
Oh.
her wolf's shoulder, and the wolf is probably paying more attention than she is at this point.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. Cool. So, Ernst and Edvard, you come out to the front to see Trish haul back one more time and try to hit Julius. Julius, seeing
Cool.
this coming in, Julius will declare that he will try to block.
Can I also declare parry to like intercept her, just to like, or them, sorry, to pull them back from
Yeah,
punching?
yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. I think that's cool. That sounds cool. Yeah. So let's do this then. We'll have let's see here. So yeah, are you saying that you're actually armed? Did you come out like brandishing a sword, or are you unarmed?
No, this is just my hands. You can do parry without an armed
Correct.
weapon.
Correct. Which
It's
is
just like if you're punching,
changes
it's force.
it changes what you're using for the dodge though.
Yeah, it's force, not
Right, it's force. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and have you try to save Julius. So let's have so we've declared our dodge, so we'll go ahead and have Trish roll their attack.
Yeah, it's like it's literally just a reflex. First thing I see the bird, I freak out, I punch him, and then he looks at me and he's like, "What are you doing?" And then I freak out again and I punch him with like the other. All right, so
You were
close
supposed to
combat
roll.
again?
You're supposed to roll force. My bad. Close combat is when you actually have a
Force.
weapon. So roll force. I think it's funny that you wounded him anyway.
Okay. Close combat isn't a punch.
close
Okay,
combat
that's
is with a
fine.
weapon.
When you have a weapon.
It's
Okay,
weird
so
that
I'm
they
supposed to
kind of
do force.
separate it, but kind of
Yeah.
understandable.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that is
okay.
weird.
I'm just glad you hit him anyway. Hey, you hit him again.
Yes,
So
Hit
you
again.
so now
Bop,
that's
bop.
that's one success. So Edvard, you need one success
All right.
to stop this.
Oh,
Well,
punch
I
is
took
a-
this talent just in case of combat trained, so I get a +2 to parry.
That's fantastic.
Let's.
kick or punch was in the inventory. Was I supposed to click kick or punch from
Yeah,
the
you
inventory?
could click kick or punch. That's the easiest way to.
I'll do that next time.
Damn
Which
it.
I'll probably have it on.
Well, it's currently a failure.
Edvard's trying. He's trying.
Well, I'm still going to give Julius, since he has a reaction, he's going to go ahead and try this as well. The NPCs are a little different when it comes to what they do. So I actually don't have the same kind of mechanics. So what I do
Anonymous chinchilla
is well, I just have to, well, here we go. That's no good. Hello.
Please
There we
don't
go.
knock out our carriage driver.
Oh, he got a success.
I'm scared.
He got a
Must punch.
success. So
I'm scared. Must punch.
I don't know. I don't think you can see it, but the folks at home can see that I rolled a 4 and a 6. So he has successfully deflected the second incoming attack, and he's like kind of like scrambling away from you a little bit, trying to come out of the seat. Maybe he's yelling like, "Oh, what are you doing? I'm an old man. Why are you hurting me? I mean, I didn't mean to offend your friend. I was just trying to help move the kettle."
Have I regained my senses yet?
Yes, you have. You have. As you
Yeah.
throw
I'm so
that
sorry.
that next
I don't
punch
know what
and
came
it
over me.
misses.
I saw this massive bird and I just was so scared.
Massive
Massive.
bird? Where?
Yeah, right there on the. Is he still up there?
No.
Oh, he's gone. He must have flown away.
And Julius looks up at the roof of the tavern, and then He kind of looks back at you, side
He looks
eye.
like some kind of crane or heron or something.
Mm,
Perhaps Edvard should take shotgun.
I think that might be best.
Yeah, you're right.
Edward looks at the not Edward. Julius looks at the heavily armed Edward and is like, "I don't know if that's such a good idea. You're not going to attack me, are you?
No.
If you see a bird, are you going to stab me with that sword?"
If there is a bird that is attacking us, I'd be quicker to pull my pistol and shoot it.
Oh, I think
Not
I feel
you.
better.
Tatiana sticks her head out of the carriage. You guys saw the bird?
Yes, there was a massive, big black bird on top of the hotel or inn or
Anyways,
whatever it is.
let's make our
It
way.
is real.
As I try to distract this guy from like
Because he
thinking
keeps
that we're
he
a
ke-
bunch of fucking crazy people.
he's looking at he's looking at Trish. They need to be back in the oh, and then he starts rubbing his shoulder like
Like, I am so sorry for my companion.
We-
there.
I am
We'll
so,
make sure
so
that-
sorry.
We'll make sure that they are out of your way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go sit in the
This
cubby.
won't
It's fine.
Okay.
I'll talk to Trish.
okay.
Keep her from falling asleep.
Albrecht, double time, and well, of course he does it after everybody gets inside, and he begins to take you. And Jens actually is inside too, and he would have run out with you, and he would have heard him mutter something under his breath. Damn superstitions! There's no bird. And as he gets back inside the carriage,
What superstition? I don't know anything about this place. I swear I saw a huge bird. It was the most amazing thing I've seen in a long time.
Well, and this is Jens talking. It's like whether there was a bird there doesn't matter to these people. They see and read things into all manners of stuff. It's very unscientific, and it's quite insulting to the progress of what what we're trying to do. And the sooner that we show them that there's no foundation to these beliefs, the better off they will be.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't think birds are even real. I think that they're all constructs designed by the government to spy on us.
Ernst just kind of does this.
Well, if you could train a bird
Mechanical
Why?
things that fly around.
and maybe remember where they went, and if they came back, you could train them to maybe peck at letters, and you can see Jens just
Birds
start
used
to
be real.
just start
and then
to
100 years ago, they all went extinct, and then the government made a bunch of fake robot birds.
You're gonna get us all thrown in the asylum.
Jens is
I'm gonna try
Yes.
and get his attention back.
yes.
I apologize. You were looking at birds and thinking about various things. I believe that although these superstitions are, as you say, unscientific, they are relevant.
I don't disagree with you there. They seem it's just the
We-
question is to whom they're relevant.
We-
And I don't think they're relevant for what we're doing.
Are you interacting with the townsfolk?
Oh, in quite many diverse ways we are, yes.
Then their
Spending-
superstitions are quite relevant.
They
They're-
are. When you get to the site, you'll see just how relevant it is, but why these superstitions drive them to do what they do? It's not rational.
We are outsiders here. What
Oh, yes.
superstitions are they working under? We need to know everything before we get to the site.
There's well, I know for sure that Mr. Rasmussen can go into greater detail, but it's just that the devil is at the work. That the devil is out there on the moor, and the devil is in the tavern, and the devil is in a very machinery that we're using to reclaim the land.
Spying on us.
And I take it then that you have had acts of sabotage from the locals then?
We don't have specific evidence, but it's clear that I think the locals are sabotaging us. Mr. Asmussen has some alternative ideas, hence why he called you in. But yes, I would say that even though it's all very circumstantial, that there are villagers from Grimstead Huss, I think is what they call it, up to the north, some, I don't know, 7 or 8 kilometers up to the north. That's where they live, and that's where I think our problems lie. More ways than one, I tell you, besides just potentially sabotaging our equipment.
What else do you refer to?
Back to the idea of how their beliefs are so like like it's not just us, it's anybody who's an outsider that they have issue with. And we've I haven't looked at it, but Mr. Rasmussen has historical details chronicling this belief in a devil that exists out here. He can tell you more about it than I can.
I shall be most interested to talk to Mr. Rasmussen.
I know he's looking forward to seeing you. We've got many things that we have to talk to you about and show you.
Understood. Understood.
And I think it's pretty obvious to see that when he mentions things, he and his hesitation, like he again you kind of saw this from him yesterday. There's definitely something that's sitting somewhere in the background that he's not comfortable with coming out with.
I recall he was circumspect yesterday as well. And I am going to give Trij a look that says, "Don't pester the poor man."
Sorry already. Jeez.
Meanwhile, out on the out in the bench, out in the bench for the coach, Julius is chewing your ear off, Edvard.
Oh, great.
He's talking about all sorts of things. Why, when I first brought these people in here to the Moorland Society, this road that we're on wasn't even a road. It was just a trail. There's no way I could get my horse and wagon down this road. And they brought in all manner of machinery to widen this into a road and to make the earth much more stable. Why, if I tried to take this wagon out here, it'd sink into the moor lickety-split.
Oh, that's quite impressive. So have you heard of what's been going on at the camp? If there's any rumors that you might have been hearing?
Strange things going on out there. They've got all sorts of machinery, but the machinery doesn't seem to work. And when you hear it, and we'll hear it very soon, you hear the camp long before you see it, but you'll see what I mean. It doesn't seem that the machinery doesn't work very well. And I think that their machines are very strange and maybe not, what's the word, effective yet, but some of them out there say that some of us are sabotaging, and that's not true. We're good folk out here. We would never go and break other people's property and the like. There are those of us who are concerned, and we don't have the same kind of trust in outsiders. So, but like I said, many of them, many of my neighbors, they don't get out as much, and so they're not like me. I like you. I think you're a fine person. As he rubs his shoulder and says, "I'm very glad you're out here." And but sometimes some of our locals are a little more stiff-lipped, or maybe less social, perhaps, to outsiders. But we're good folk. We wouldn't go around breaking people's things now, mind you.
No, I do not believe that you're doing less in the slightest. It might seem be what you appear. The machines just might not be up to the task quite yet. I am wondering though, what might we be able to do to get on the good side of of the locals around here, who might be a little bit more stiff-lipped?
Well, don't, if you happen to be Prussian, don't admit to it. We don't take kindly to Prussians around here. They came stomping through here a couple of generations ago, waging a war, and they killed a lot of people. That's how Krommutter lost her husband. Was in the Prussian war some 20 some years ago. That's how she lost her leg too. But don't let anybody know. Oh, I shouldn't have told you. I'm so proud of her. She fought too, and she lost her leg in the war too.
Oh,
But
that
she's
is
a.
amazing.
It is amazing, but she'll put you under the ground faster than the Moor will suck you under if you let her know that you're a Prussian.
I got
You're
that
not a
impression.
Prussian, are you?
No, I am from Sweden.
Ah, excellent. Then you'll be fine. If you let your friends know, hush, hush, mum, mum, on the Prussian thing.
Yes, I
Uh,
will definitely know that.
Schnapps are always well received. Buying people drinks is always good. Uh, don't. Uh, I just think just being good people and being patient. It takes a long time for folks who live around here to warm up to new people.
Understandable. Understandable.
And it's about this time that all of you begin to hear kind of even over the Julius isn't driving his wagon all that fast. There's not a lot of it's not like a ton of noise, and he's not on like a cobblestone street, right? It's still like it's a dirt path, but you can hear as um the wheels continue to turn, you start to hear off in the distance two or three sounds operating in conjunction. You hear a and you've been around enough steam engines to kind of understand that sound. But then you also hear this slurp sound, and then another slurp sound. And then as a slurp happens, you hear a splash. So there's this rhythmic steam engine where there's also this slurp, gurgle, and then splash, slurp, gurgle, and splash. And it's very quiet at the beginning. But as you continue down the road closer and closer to the Moorland Society camp, it's getting louder and it's getting louder. And it becomes very clear that this is something that's an environmental issue that is here. It's quite distracting, but it's not something that's like it's not hurting your ears or anything. But you're entering an industrial environment, I guess is the best way to put it, from an auditory standpoint. You see, I told you it was quite loud.
Yes, I can definitely see where some people might take issue with it.
Yes, well, you can't hear it from the tavern, and he's actually kind of starting to shout as you get closer. You can't hear it from the tavern, and you can't hear it from the village. But boy, when you're here, man, you've got to be forceful with your words, or they're not going to hear you at all. And sometimes I think they just use the sound as an excuse not to listen to you.
Hmm. The people in the camp?
Oh yes, the people in the camp are hired uh, by Rasmussen, and he brought them in. They're not from around here, but they're still they're still good folk, and take some time to warm up to.
Understood.
And unless there's something else that you're interested in asking Julius, I think in the next minute or so we can get to the
Yeah,
point
the only
where
thing I was trying to subtly get at was like, are there any specific people that we need to avoid or be extra polite with? Specifically the
Julius
locals in town.
Julius So yeah, Edvard, anybody in particular who's important, you might ask that we should get to know or have to avoid. And Julius says, um, let's bring up the name so I get it right.
Is it the people I pissed off last time?
I mean,
Damn it.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Those-
yes,
I mean, maybe I earned their respect.
maybe.
I respect you a little more.
You can hope that.
Yeah, I know. My hopes are fleeting.
Let's see here. Yeah, let's get the name. So Julius says, well, aside from Crowmooter, who's very important, she runs the tavern, she feeds people and houses people. We'll always be nice to her, but she deals with outsiders, so she's a lot easier to warm up to. The only other person who would have been really the most important person in the village would have been Eric. Eric. Oh no, his first name is Jens. Jens Eric Jensen, I think is. But he died some bit ago, and unfortunate too, because it's clear that his children needed his guidance quite desperately. When Jens was a mountain of a man, and commanded the respect of people, both villagers and outsiders alike. And when he died, all that was left were his daughter Jensine and his two sons, their twin sons, Hans and Eisner. Yes. Oh, Hans and Eisner. Oh my, oh, they're every bit the opposite of their father. Jens Eric was a mountain of a man to be respected, and Hans and Eisner, well, they're drunk a lot. They hang out in the tavern a lot, and they don't work a lot, but they're good people, and the village helps take care of them for uh, the sense of loss that they must be feeling at the death of their father must have been overwhelming. Jensine, the older sister, like her father, a mountain of a woman, like she could wrestle an ox to the ground. But stay away from them.
Oh well, what is Jensen's disposition like?
She's had to raise her brothers, and she is the let's just say that she usually comes in to clean after the boys if the boys make a mess, if you know what I mean. But she doesn't do it through talking. No, she's a woman of action.
Understood. She sounds great.
Oh, she's a blessed soul. Good people.
Understood. Was there wouldn't, since they seem to be the important family in the area, there wouldn't be a proper way that you would see as, say, handle them to deal with social interactions. And I'm wanting to just kind of schmooze and maybe do like a bribe thing to try to get his lips a little looser.
What do you have?
I mean, I have wealth 5
You have wealth
or
5.
resources 5.
You have resources 5. But how much capital do you have on you?
Oh, minus from what we.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you brought some capital with you, and I think the answer was like 3 or 5.
No, it was. Oh, crap. How much did we have? I think it might be in the Discord.
It might be in there. I know you started with either 8 or 9.
So we have 7 capital. That was at that point. Crap. What did. I don't think I marked it down.
I don't know either. I want to say that you had 3 capital left over.
Yeah, because let's see. I picked up binoculars, which is 2. Hunting equipment,
Yeah.
just 2.
So I'll let you check that out. Well, let's go ahead and snap back to inside. The wagon comes to a stop, and Jens Ludvigsen. Oh, good, we're here. Let's go. Mr. Rasmussen will be very excited to see us. And he flings open the door and he hops out and he reaches around to help anybody out who needs help out.
I'll hop out too. I don't need any help. Pretty spry.
I'm able to get out.
Tatiana will take his arm to get out and like try to daintily put her foot down and then have it squelch into the mud and just like her face tightens and it's supposed to be a smile, but it is clearly not.
Huh. How sharp is Jens, I wonder? Would he, is that something, I sounds like you're trying to smile and kind of, let's see here. This will be a vigilance for him. Let's see if he picks up on that. Just because he may, yeah, he picks that up a little bit. And he looks at the situation and he looks back to you and he just kind of leans in. I'm very sorry. It's going to be like that everywhere. It's kind of why we're here.
Why would you want? Why? No, she's just gonna say why.
Because once this land is rich and fertile again, well, first of all, we won't have to come out here, so we don't have to, traipse around in the bogs, and this area will, produce food to feed us for generations. So a little discomfort now. Think about all the great things we can do once that momentary discomfort has passed. Come, you should see. The camp is much drier. Come. And he starts to walk towards the camp.
She's going to lean on him. She's not necessarily buying this rhetoric, but she's definitely leaning on him to keep her ankles out of the mud.
So overall, what we're looking at is an environmental mess, right?
Well, let's talk about what you see. Absolutely. The camp is, you've traveled about 10 kilometers west of the tavern. As Julius explained to Edvard, what used to be a game trail out here to this part of a safe piece of land out in the middle of various different ponds, creeks, and bogs. What used to be a game trail out here has been widened into a road. And then the actual area where the camp is located, it's in what we would call a hollow, and it's protruding out into a bog. And so the camp itself, as you look out and around the camp, 10 large tents, wood framed with canvas. Think of like a military tent of the time. So very large, rectangles with triangles on top, sort of deal. And at the heart of the camp is a massive steam engine. It's a peat-fired steam engine. They're using the peat that's harvested locally, so there isn't like stacks of coal or coke or anything around. And the engine is pumping water from the bog. And what you see running through the camp is a almost Rube Goldberg-esque series of cast iron pipes. And I think at this point in the program, you all have had enough time in cities to understand that this is the advent of vulcanized rubber. So you are seeing cast iron pipes and vulcanized rubber hose. Well, only in this case, I guess we would call it a culvert kind of size material, not like a small hose. That's moving water from the engine to a series of canals that have been dug that connect to a stream. So this one machine is going after this one bog to drain it. This place feels like a proof of concept. Like if we can reclaim 15 or 20 acres of land with this machine, imagine if we had 30 or 40 machines out here to work on this entire piece of land. Let's
So
see here.
this is a place that looks totally it's at the beginning points of being manufactured by man. Trish is gonna look upon this camp and just be like, this looks like crap.
Trish isn't wrong. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of the vegetation is very, it's that classic,
Disrupted.
it's that classic, you know, heather. It's small scrubs that are clinging close to the land. There's just not a lot of nutrients left in the soil. It's very sparse, but also hardy. And if you like an austere setting, it's actually very beautiful for if you like that sort of, like, in a way, its
if you
lack of
were an
life almost
industrial
makes it a desert.
person and you were reclaiming the land and you were getting ready to build, I'm sure it would be very exciting, but I'm sure this is the opposite of what Trish would be into. So
Absolutely.
this place looks like crap.
And so back to Julius very quickly. So Edvard, 2 capital. So with a capital, and you get to tell me if you're planning on spending it, what is that capital and how do you intend to use it with Julius?
I don't know. I think after hearing you talk, I think I might have already kind of determined that like the sister's the reasonable one, as far as we can tell, and that father was stern, but a good man, like he says about everybody. I know he's a gossip. I know he's a gossip.
Julius most certainly is, yes.
But do we really want to waste our capital on this early? I don't think it's worth it this early.
Okay. Julius helps unload what you brought with you as Jens is already heading off into the camp shouting, Mr. Rasmussen, Mr. Rasmussen. And as you move your materials into the camp, Julius will ultimately shout a fond farewell and turn the wagon around and take off. The camp has what looks to be, you count, 14 or 15 workers. There is clearly a kitchen and dining camp. There are some small boys running around the kitchen tent. And as you walk through the camp towards the middle, the tents are furnished in a way that suggests a step up from like camping. You're glamping 19th century style. There are cots so you sleep off the ground. There are wood stoves inside each of these tents. So, and then of course the tents have the tents are made of heavy canvas and they have doors. So, you know, temporary shelter, but shelter nonetheless. And as you're walking into camp, Jens is returning, and Jens is returning with a person who, wow, this person is an authority. The way that he walks, the way that he carries himself. This person is an authority figure. He is in his 40s, and he is he has clearly like jacket, vest, tie, pince nez, full beard, mustache. He does his best to keep clean. As you can tell, his jacket and sleeves are clean. but there's nothing. Even he has given up trying to keep the pant legs and the boots clean. But aside from that, he strides towards you with a with just a force of will behind every step. And next to him is Jens, hurriedly keeping up, taking 2 strides for every one of what you assume to be Preben Rasmussen. And as he walks up, he says, I have been waiting several days for you to show up. I have many things to show you and not a lot of time. I have to get back to my work. I trust your trip here was fine. Good. Come to the tent. And he turns and he walks towards the tent.
I'm keeping pace.
Tatiana's going to kind of look at Ernst and Trish before following. So looking to the rest of her group before following this.
I don't want to give him the satisfaction of following at too hurried a pace. I am going to play up my age a little bit and walk at a bit of a slower pace.
Good.
Tatiana's going to fall back to offer Ernst her arm and now support Ernst so that she can, walk slower.
Graciously
Yeah, at the sight
take
of
it.
Ernst tattling, Trish will also hang back to see if they can be of assistance.
And Jens starts to turn around and walk with Preben, but then he turns around to look back and he sees the slow play, and you can see him like he wants to like get, and then he turns back to Preben, and he's about ready to say, and he's like, oh no, and he looks back at you and he's like, come on, and then he scrambles off to follow Rasmussen into a tent. This tent, a lot of the tents are open, but this tent is clearly closed. Door closed. And then you see Preben get up to the door, and he looks around to the left and the right to see if anybody's around. Then he opens the flap and he walks in, and that's when Jens catches up and he stands at the door, and it's clear that he's looking around too, looking to make certain something is either not going to enter or not watching. And then he sees you again. He's like, come on.
I'm going to do a cartwheel over there. Get my hands nice and dirty,
They get nice and dirty. The ground is wet, damp, partly because you notice that the plumbing of this system isn't great. There are leaks everywhere. You can see water being pumped into a canal, but you wonder how much is actually getting, like, how much should this engine be actually pulling versus how much it actually is. And there's a lot of rattling and loose fittings. It's so it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Definitely not up to, code.
So
Iron mesh.
would it be investigation or observation to try to see if there's anything that they're looking out for? Or like if they're
Yeah.
Oh, you mean what Jens is looking out for?
Jens
But-
and Rasmussen or whatever his
before
name is.
entering the tent?
I think that them looking around at the other workers and looking to see if anybody's walking over to them, I don't think that's a role. I think it's pretty clear that they're like, ain't nobody coming over here, right? Neither one of them are very secretive about it.
Yeah. And I know Edward was trying to keep pace with them,
Mm-hmm.
or the guy in charge.
Oh,
It was
so
a polite, like he was like Edward wasn't hanging back, but he was just kind of doing it more as a polite courtesy.
sure.
He
Yeah,
wasn't
so
showing any joy or happiness in doing any of this. It was just more like, very well.
yeah. So what's interesting, of course, is so you get in the tent before the other 3 do, and Preben turns around and he just sees you there. Where are your compatriots?
They are unfortunately not as disciplined in rough terrain. Campaigning with the Swedish military does wonders for one's constitution.
Well, I'm sure it does. That's I and he says, I didn't have the chance to serve, but I'm appreciative that you did, and yes, definitely good for the constitution, good for the body. And then he kind of like, how long are they going to take?
You must excuse Ernst. His time has
Ah,
been long.
Well, I'm surprised. Maybe I was expecting something else. Maybe I was expecting some other people from Linnea, but this will have to do. And I will have to wait. I have to talk to all of you. I'm not going to say things twice.
That would be a
And
waste of time.
you are looking at the inside of what is clearly a storage tent. So there are boxes, crates,
Yeah.
and barrels. Appears to be food. Appears to be fresh water. Appears to be boxes that are marked Moorland Society. And some of them have stamped stencils or stamps on them that read things like, machinery, tools. It's pretty clear that everything is labeled pretty clearly. So you look around and you see the supply chain, if you will, for a scientific expedition. However, there is a table on the other side of this tent. It's a long table, and there is a canvas tarp over it. You note that there's not much that this is covering up. There's really just a very small thing, a bump, if you will, that this tarp is covering up. And Preben is standing right there, hand on the table on the tarp, waiting for the rest of the group to enter.
He wishes to have his dramatic moment.
Yes, I do. I mean, yes, he does.
I think Edward kind of takes note of that, and like as soon as he breaks eye contact, he just kind of rolls his eyes like, oh my god.
Drama queen. Yeah, I'll come busting in my cartwheel.
Flinging mud everywhere.
Jens is just
mud everywhere.
Jens is mortified. No, you mustn't. Please walk
What's wrong?
walk like a person. You'll
Do I
see.
have something on my face? I draw a mustache. Stinks, I
It
bet.
stinks like
Smells
peat.
like bog.
Smells like bog. Yeah. Yeah, did I forget to mention this was an eternal stench bog?
Why does it smell like shit in here? Figured this camp would be cleaner.
That would be
Disgrace.
the bog mud that is currently under your nose.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking
It's like
about.
here.
That's a mustache.
I like grab a thing and
Yeah, like a rag.
yeah, and if they allow, I will wipe it off and just be like, better.
I guess.
And
less
Not
English
as fun though. Not as fun though, right? And he
Not as
gives a
fun.
wink.
You get it.
as the whole group either slow plays or cartwheels into the space, Jens
Sure,
closes the door of the tent, and Preben Rasmussen.
We are an obnoxious group.
Now that we are all here, you have a lot of work to do, but I'm not going to let you off on some kind of investigation yet. You have to know what it is that we're dealing with, and it's very important to have you understand that I need your observations and your investigations to line up with what you find, with facts. And in order to get that started, you've got to understand what we know, and I have some theories too, and you need to hear them. Boy, this guy is going. He says, we have been here for quite some time now, setting up our equipment, and at every stage of our work here, we have been met with nothing but hostility. These oafs from Grimstead Huss have made attempt after attempt to sabotage my steam engine. And it has gotten to the point where
Yours, then. You created it
I'm
yourself?
sorry? That's irrelevant right now. My steam engine is my expedition. And if it's not things that they're doing, it's things that we're finding that just simply fuels their own irrational beliefs and superstitions. I've called you here to help put an end to this ridiculous belief of a devil on this moor, that there is no thing here that is somehow protecting them, and that they need to understand that the things that are interrupting progress here are from people here and not things. But I have to admit, there have been some strange things here. We've come across some pieces of evidence that don't really fit very well into rational thought. And I've had some experience with you people before when I was at the Polytechnic Institute. And that's how I came to know your Linnea. So I wrote her, maybe you can help clear this up. And his fingers are drumming on this table that's got this heavy tarp. And he says, a good deal of this started when we found this. And he dramatically unveils the tarp off the table. And there you see what must be what's left of an infant skeleton.
Ah.
Most
I jump.
most of the bones seem to be there. Its skull partially crushed, but an infant nonetheless.
Hmm.
I believe this is going to require some explanation.
When we first started the engine and began to drain the bog, within a day, we had a blockage, a terrible blockage. Usually, the machine is strong enough to pull organic material through it and send it out the other end. But this was something we had to stop the machine and clear. And when we came and cleared the intake pipe, this is what we found.
I mean,
And he dramatically hand waves to the skeleton on the table.
How
I mean,
old do the bones look? Can we?
Yeah.
That's a great question. How you do it will determine whether or not you're going to do an investigation or a medicine. So if you have a medicine, then you would do the what's what I'm looking for, the forensic approach, right? But if
Mhm.
you're going to use your knowledge of human anatomy, you've read some books and stuff, then that would be like an investigation. So walk me through it. You walk up to this skeleton. How do you approach investigating it?
Due to Tatiana's history with bones and whatnot, she wants to see, does this look like it's more weather worn, like it's been in the heather for a while, or does this look like it was aged?
preserved, you mean? Through the bog?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like bog body?
Preserved through the bog, and was the head crushed before or after death?
Okay. So I will say that understanding its situation of burial would be investigation for what you're asking for. Understanding the condition of its bones prior to being unearthed by the bog machine, that's going to be more along the lines of medicine.
Okay, I'm gonna say she's looking at the bones then and do a medicine check.
Okay. And if anybody else wants to help along with this and have their own investigation avenue, Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
I'd like to ask
success.
him. I mean, why don't you just bury it? Clearly, you disrupted some grave. Aren't you going to upset some ghosts?
There is no graveyard here. This is the bog. The graveyard is still some 7 or 8 kilometers to the northwest of here. If it was to be buried properly, it would have been buried there.
Well, clearly, whoever put it here maybe didn't do a proper burial. Maybe it's owed that.
Then, after your investigation, we can give it a proper burial for sure. I was never going to deny this body its proper spot in hallowed ground, but this was an important clue because our problems began shortly after discovering this.
Do the townsfolk know about this?
Oh, I'm sure by now whispers of the body being found have made their way there, but my understanding is that these bogs are filled with the bones of all sorts of things that get lost out here, people and otherwise. So it's probably not a tremendous surprise.
Yeah. People and especially more adventurous children tend to wonder where they may sink. I look at Edward's going to look at the body and just his time in the woods with like deer and other animals and seeing them decompose
Mm-hmm.
in various parts and different areas.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try to determine like see how old these are. Or
Excellent. So go ahead and roll. That sounds like a medicine too. Go ahead and roll medicine. Tatiana, the skull of this. Wow, look, you guys go. The skull of this infant, the way that the staining of the bone, if it had been crushed beforehand, the fractures would have been stained, but they're not. This is a fresh break. This skull was intact before it was so rudely removed from its resting place. And was there something else you were looking for?
Yes, but I think Edvard's role will probably answer that
Mhm.
question.
And Edward, what were you looking for again? You were looking for
how long it may have been in the bog,
excellent.
possibly, and also seeing how quote unquote human the skeleton is as well.
Ah, excellent.
Hmm.
It is clear that this skeleton has been in the bog for decades. How long, you're not sure, but a long time, decades. It is indeed a human skeleton. However, it shows a number of features indicating that it is a newborn.
Mm.
Can I ask him? So this is the only one you found?
Yes, it's the only one that we found. If there was anything else that we had extricated, it went through the system and into the canal.
And why are you
I'm
presuming that it's this thing that's causing your problems and it's not just a coincidence?
because that's where this comes into play. That's I can explain away sabotage, but I can't explain away. And he says, I can't explain away what my men hear and see. And
And
I
what
can't,
have they been seeing or hearing?
they claim to hear a child crying out on the moor. It sounds like a waterfowl to me, and there's some debate amongst the men about what it is. The machine, the steam engine sometimes will be working fine, and then sometimes it won't, and we find evidence of tampering, parts that have been unscrewed or whatnot. But sometimes the machine is working fine, and then it malfunctions in a way that's just quite not like that machine should be operating at a very specific temperature, and sometimes its temperature crashes. We throw in more fuel and it should be getting hotter, but yet instead it gets colder. It's very, I'm embarrassed to say, it's very difficult to explain. That's what you're here for, to find
Yes.
out, to find out. And he produces an old leather-bound notebook, 5 inches by like 8 inches. And he says, what I need is to know for sure that, I can't believe I'm saying this, if this devil does exist, that we deal with it. And then we can tell the people it's not there anymore. And then we can get on with the business of progress. Why, listen to how they talk about this devil. And he opens up this notebook and he puts on his voice. And he reads, I shall refer to this winged Vaesen as the devil on the moor. And as there is no doubt whether about its infernal origins, it is venerated as a guardian angel by the Moorland folk, and so it has been since time immemorial. These poor blinded people, it is scarcely an exaggeration to call them fools and savages. They are paying a terrible price for this demonic protection. Blood and souls are what I speak of. Blood and souls. They have always sacrificed children to the powers of the Moor, forever branding their immortal souls for the Dark One and the realm of everlasting torment. I tell you, these things are out here. These people believe this, as he's shaking this notebook, and then he turns a couple of pages. Why, take this, for instance. Devil worship at Grimstead Huss. Oh. Grimstead Huss is a savage place of folly and ungodly barbarism, but even here our Lord has planted a solitary seed of Christian decency. Can you imagine that this Sandeman, and he turns it to the front, yes, Sandeman. Can you believe this Sandeman only found one decent person in this local village? She is a girl of peasant stock named Signy Andersdottir, but she has a good head and on her shoulders and even seems to be literate. Through this pure, innocent creature, I have gained access to the inner secrets of the moorland peasantry, and at times I feel that the truth, the glimpse of reality that my campaign for enlightenment has uncovered, is too heavy for one man to bear. But there is no longer any doubt on the matter. Devil worship has been practiced here for millennia, and the beating heart of this ancient cult is Grimstead Huss. And he closes the notebook. This is the sort of thing that we need to solve, that if there is this devil, to get rid of it, and if there isn't, to just banish it from the minds and souls of these people.
So-
Sir, for someone who doesn't believe in superstition, you sure do seem to be assuming that your problems are being caused by a lot of.
As I said, there are certain things that are defying science, and that bothers me. And I've had many enlightening discussions with people of your society, is it called? Who, I must admit, made convincing statements and arguments that I don't completely throw entities that don't fit into my particular worldview. I don't simply throw them out as poppycock. That's why you're here. As a man of science, I still have an open mind, even though I'm pretty sure I know what the issue is.
Right. We are here to cover your bases that you do not have the time to deal with.
Exactly.
And so you're presuming that this deceased skeleton was a child sacrifice for this devil?
It certainly fits. Maybe it was a child sacrifice. Maybe we've unearthed something devilish. Or maybe we've pulled a skeleton out of the ground and the locals are losing their mind. Or maybe the skeleton is a skeleton and just something that we need to bury. All I know is that there are certain things that are happening that don't make sense.
Right.
And it
May we
falls- oh,
take that book so that we can further our investigation?
Don't lose it. This is an important piece of history. And Edward, he hands to you, again, a leather-bound notebook. And that when you open it, on the front pages it reads, The Journal of Gabriel Sandeman.
This will be a
I
great.
want it
Oh,
so badly.
okay.
I want it so
Yeah.
badly.
No, here's the thing. Edward was like, "Yes, we will get started right away," and he will hand it actually over to Ernst. It's like, "Here you go, Professor."
Ernst,
Oh,
you
good, thank
hold the notebook in your hands. I suspect the first thing that you do is just that almost cliche thumbing through all the pages.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
while he's doing that, because he knows like he will look through it, and Edward will just ask this. Let's call him a gentleman. If there are any other clues, any other hints, any other evidence besides the skeleton, uh, physical, that you might have.
Okay. So you're talking to Rasmussen.
Rasmussen, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. What does Edward say as Ernst is thumbing through the journal?
Mr.
Rasmussen.
Rasmussen, thank you. Mr. Rasmussen, thank you. Now, was there any other physical evidence that you have come across of any, let's call it sabotage, malfunctions?
I was hoping you would be able to do that. You are more than welcome. You have the freedom of the camp to be able to go talk to people you need to talk to, look at any of the machinery. Please don't touch any of the wheels or levers. It is a finely honed and tuned piece of scientific machinery, but you may look around. You have the freedom to go where you need to, look what you need to, talk to whom you need to in order to solve this mystery.
Okay, so in essence, he doesn't really have anything else.
It doesn't. It doesn't. No, he doesn't. He knows because parts have been they've had to put things back together again. They've had to fix things. So the evidence of the sabotage doesn't exist because the repairs have been made.
Right.
Or at least what their only evidence was something that was broken apart or whatever.
Okay. I was just wondering if there was like any strange things in regards to the sabotage, but if it's
As
easy
I
enough to
I
fix.
said, there were the sabotage was easy to explain. The boiler rapidly decelerating in pressure, rapidly decelerating in temperature for no reason. It shouldn't have, and yet it did. At times, the weather gets strange. At times, the food that is in our camp will spoil. There are a number of odd things that just any one thing I would have written off as chance, but unfortunately for me, I can't explain it all away.
So my first question would be, because you mentioned something about how cold the boilers got.
Yes.
Are these other instances related to cold as well, or have a vague connection to that temperature? And is the temperature an increase in temperature or solely a decrease?
We have been able to ascertain early on in our work that any overheating came out of a lack of a proper tunement of the engine. So more recent issues have been about severe underperformance, vacuum not forming because of the temperature being far too low, even though the furnace is roaring. I haven't had any instance of overheating. As far as the cold is concerned, it's difficult to tell. Men complain of cold. Who's to say?
Right. And these weird weather events, does the temperature noticeably dip when it happens? Are there any storms?
Storms,
lightning?
no, but yes, now that you mention it, I do note that it's chillier than perhaps it ought to be.
Right. Okay.
Ernst,
Yes.
let's see if this handout works. You find this slipped in between the pages of the journal.
Oh.
It is a yellowed, and I asked the internet earlier today, and I've already forgotten, but I'm pretty sure that's a hard G. Daguerreotype image. It's a grainy portrait of a young peasant woman with round cheeks and thick pigtails, tucked into the pages of the journal.
I presume that this is the Signy Anders daughter that was referred to, but I'm going to look this over and see if there's any note, marking, or evidence to confirm my suspicion.
The picture itself lacks identification, and the mention, of course, in the journal article is the one reference to the name. But it's difficult to know if that picture is that person, but it's a strong possibility. You'd have to read through more of the journal to find out if there are any other named people in it.
All right.
Preben looks around. Is there anything else? Anything else that you need to know? Any questions that you have before you begin your investigation?
Why didn't you bury the body or turn it over to the villagers to be buried?
Because I wanted you to see it. It's a clue. I am sure of it.
Agreed.
Actually, now that he had mentioned the journal that had ritual sacrifice, I am going to take a look at the body and see if there are any signs of that on there.
I think that either an investigation or medicine would be fine for that.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and roll investigation for that one. And I'm going to double
Alright.
check something.
How many dice are you getting for this?
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a good amount. Oh,
Ooh,
three
you got
successes.
3.
My sixth
Whoa.
sense also comes into
Oh,
play
yeah.
here.
Do you have sixth sense?
I just took it at the last level.
Oh, Ernst. Ernst, you've got spidey senses going on all over the place. Okay. There is nothing. I'm assuming that other people, so Tatiana and Edvard, as you've looked at the skeleton, have you vocalized your findings?
No. I was making a note of it just to myself and kind of
Fantastic.
discuss it later just to be all like, I don't want to appear to be crazy.
Yeah, no, Ernst, with three successes, you know what they know.
Okay.
You know that this is a newborn. You know that the skull was intact at death. You know that it was most likely crushed when it was extricated. You know that it has been in the bog for at least 30, maybe even 40 years. But your sixth sense, first of all, what does it feel like?
It's like it's something in the back of my head there. It's
Mhm.
a little bit of a tingle, a little bit of a scratch. It's a almost like what do they call it? A frisson. It's
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't put your finger on it, right? But you definitely know that you have your finger on it because it's not the skeleton that's bothering you. It's the journal in your hand. There's something about it. There's something almost maybe magical about it.
Oh, intriguing. Feeling this, I am going to thumb through again. I am going to be looking through and seeing if I can chase that feeling. So
Mhm.
I am
Sure.
paging through and
Absolutely.
listening to the back of my head there.
Cool. So that's Ernst. That's going to take a little bit of time for Ernst to do. So let's go to Trish and Tatiana and Edvard. Ernst has just gone headfirst into this book. Like he's found a crate to sit on, and yeah, right. He's going.
He's out, guys.
He's going all the way in. He's gone, everybody. So, what would you three like to do?
How would we get to Brimstone House?
And Preben says, "Oh, Grimstead Hus. That's north of here. Do you have a map of the
Don't you?
region? Do
We
you
got
have
a
a map of the
I'm
region?"
asking you. You're here.
Wait,
Did it? So Curry, didn't we get a map at some point?
Yeah, we got a map.
you have a map of the peninsula. He's asking you if you have a map of the bog.
I guess not. No.
And
No.
and he kind of looks at you, Tatya. He's like, I mean, of course I have a map. I wouldn't be asking you if you had a map with the intention of giving you a map if I didn't have a map. And he goes to one of the boxes labeled paperwork, and he opens it, and he produces.
Tatiana is directly over his shoulder, looking in the box.
Got it. There's several of the poster containers. He opens up one and he produces a map of Grimstead Ling, which you should have access to now. Let me know if you can see it.
Ooh.
And right away, you can see that the Grimstead Tavern is in the southeast corner. The Moorland camp is pretty central. You can see the canals that have been carved into the land going down to the Grimstead Creek. But then you see to the northwest the Plague Cemetery, and to the very north Grimstead Hus, which is the village. And somebody should take care of that map. So somebody can add that to their notes that you have the map of Grimstead Ling.
Nobody takes it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll snatch it.
All right. Trish has the map.
I've got a map.
This map has all the notable locations around here, and it gives you safe passage. Just use the map and the various different trails that are on the map so that you don't get lost and potentially die in this treacherous and undeveloped landscape.
Sure, it'd be terrible if we died.
Yes, it would be. You could potentially clog up one of my future machines. As he tries to force it. As he tries to force a joke. If there's anything else.
Him. I slapped Teddy on the back.
If you need anything else, I'll be out with the machinery. And he strides out.
Did he close and lock the paperwork box before he left?
I mean, he closed it, but he didn't lock it.
Okay. Tatiana wants to flip it open and look through it.
It is an amazing, over-the-top, veritable cornucopia of shipping. Pages and pages of manifests noting the movement of material in and people in and discoveries out and request triplicate of foods and clothing and supplemental machinery and more vulcanized rubber and it is the most dry and boring documentation of scientific discovery you possibly will ever read in your life as you go through the records of the Moorland Societies. expedition to Grimsteadling.
Tatiana's going to take out a random document
Mm.
and scrawl across it like diagonally in Russian. Vaesen are real, you idiots. Bury the dead with respect and you would have less problems.
Who's crazy now? Not
Yeah.
me.
Is there anyone else in the tent with us?
Jen's walked out with
Right.
Preben.
I'd like to approach the professor and kind of like tap him on the shoulder and be like,
Yeah.
does the book say anything about big birds?
I'll close the tent flap. Like just
Jen's
like,
Jen's inherently closed on his way out.
okay, cool. So we have some privacy.
Yep.
All right.
It's actually really impressive privacy because you kind of have to talk over the pump as it continues to
That's kind of what I was
do
thinking.
its thing and suck in water and spit it out.
Where do I get in my own perusal before Trish taps me on the shoulder here?
The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. Absorbed it.
Edward
Just sucked it all
kinda-
in.
Turns to Tatiana and just be like, so that skeleton was in there for at least 3 decades.
The skull was crushed, and presumably their problems happened after they violated its grave.
I think this might have been a sacrifice.
No, it was crushed recently.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the reason this child is here. But then again, and also, Tatiana, like this is the player asking, like,
Mhm.
do any of your books like mystery at all in any way? And is it like, is there perchance a line that says like, often the first assumption is something like not correct,
Oh, okay.
like something along those lines?
I mean, if Edvard gets to the point of saying Detective Wolf, Tatiana is going to lose her mind.
No, he does, unfortunately. Yeah, no, he mentions Detective Wolf fully.
You've read the Chronicles?
Yes, from time to time. It is quite an interesting read and very accurate to some of my own personal observations.
Oh, well, it's all fantasy and make believe, but I'm honored, and
Understood.
perhaps, yeah. Now that you've flattered her ego, perhaps it was child sacrifice.
It's like, but that seems to be too obvious in my opinion. But I don't know. It does seem to be because ever since this child was pulled out, there have been lots of problems associated with birds and cold, which are both of what your vision led
Yes.
us to.
Also, the crushing of the skull. Disturbing the dead is never good. The restless or those at peace.
It's never good. And also, you said you saw a big bird, Trish, as you're tapping on his shoulder. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused because I mean, this is an infant, so it just reminds me of like old stories I hear about Mylings, but I don't know what they have to do with birds.
Mylings were unwanted children, so I'm not sure
Yeah,
if child sacrifice necessarily makes sense.
I
Or if a
know.
desperate
It's-
mother may have made a
wanna
poor
know-
choice.
I want to know what the locals have to say about this bird.
Same.
You made it sound like it's a long-standing legend.
That's why I want to get to Grimstead Hoose. I feel like we'll get more answers there than we'll find in this blasted, and she kind of shouts, machine tent hellscape.
While I agree, we should at least put up a front of beginning our investigation here. And at least speaking to some of the workers of some of the more stranger incidents.
Agreed. The shouting finally pulled Ernst out of his reverie there. But
Shaking didn't work.
Welcome back.
Conversations of
No,
dead children.
Grimstedhus is where we should focus our efforts. Definitely. But I think you are quite correct that our host is not going to take kindly to us just wandering off before we've at least made pretense or a show of investigating here. And the problems are all here, but I feel our answers are at the Hus.
Mm-hmm. All right. Edward will and it's like I can get started on talking to the people here. If you guys want to help do that as well, we can. Or if you want to get a head start on making your way to Grimstedhus. So that way we can at least say that we are splitting our efforts so that we can resolve any issues more quickly.
I believe that there is strength in numbers. We should
Yes.
probably stick together.
Yes,
Nothing
as much
bad
as
ever
I
happened to splitting the party.
yes, as much as I dislike it, and Tatiana is going to start like pulling off her tights and whatever. And she's exposing her bare legs, which is so scandalous. She's like, I'll be able to walk much freer like this. And then just squelches out with the mud between her toes. And her wolf. Or sorry, her dog.
So it sounds like your group is going to start a investigation in the camp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, start talking to the workers.
Okay.
See what.
I mean,
Just get a record of their accounts.
Got
We're
it.
not
surely
going to be too invested, I think is kind of what we're all agreeing on. Like we at least want to know what they've seen, but we don't think we're going to I don't think there's going to be a lot of answers from them.
Okay.
I for one would like to at least examine the boiler where they were having the temperature problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Trish and Tatiana. As Ernst and Edvard begin to leave to their things, what are your paths for investigating? There are again, 15 or 16 people, so there could be other people that you want to talk to or other parts of the camp that you may want to investigate.
I mean, I think I'd like to find out if any of the workers here are local, and if they aren't, I also would like to hear what they've seen. But I also really want to bother Ernst and see if he saw anything in the book about a bird. So I guess maybe as we're exiting, I'll go back to shoulder and be like, "So, anything about a bird?"
Did I see anything about this bird?
I think I might have in my reading that you get a sense that while the word bird isn't directly written in this journal, The Devil on the Moor, when he refers to the Devil on the Moor as a winged Vaesen, remembering that Sandeman was a member of the society, so he knew what he was talking about. You get a sense that referring to it as both a winged Vaesen as well as a guardian angel, that it stands to reason that this might take the shape of a bird. There's something there. There's a connection there.
It fits with Sandeman's description then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even though he doesn't explicitly call it a bird, it's the closest thing.
He's somewhat circumspect about how he describes it, but but based on your descriptions, based Tatiana's description of her drawing that we couldn't piece together, based on what I've read, I believe that we are all talking about the same thing here.
I mean, I saw a bird. I swear I saw it. It was as real as day. It was so real that I couldn't control myself. I don't just go around punching people.
Of course, of course. I wouldn't suspect or accuse, but it is likely that you saw this. I will call it a guardian beast rather than a devil.
I mean, have you ever seen any creatures like the Vaesen?
I have seen many things in my day. I Growing up, I thought of them as my friends, and well, I was encouraged not to talk about such things, so let me just say I have some habits that I am working to unlearn with regards to the Vaesen.
Okay.
I had trained myself to not see them.
I mean, I see them every now and again, but usually they're kind of a terrible omen.
It has been mixed for me. Some good, some bad. Anyway, I would like to look at the boiler. Would you like to accompany me, or do you want to turn your efforts elsewhere?
I mean, sure. Yeah, I won't let him go alone. Since he invited me and all.
And Ernst visibly regrets the word choice that he had.
Too late.
Yep.
Excellent.
Might need me to lift something. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go. So Trish and Ernst make their way to the boiler. Edward, you're going to find some of the workers to chat with. And
Yeah.
is Tatiana, are you going with either group, or are you striking out on your own?
Don't know what it's called in this era, but Tatiana is channeling what is known in modern times as the manic fairy pixie girl. So being the kind of weird, eccentric one going up to the workers
Mm.
and just trying to get reactions out of them and ask about their experiences and about the body and the superstitions, and gravitating more towards the people who don't wax poetic about science.
Excellent.
Just seeing who's got good stories to tell or is willing to think about superstition in a way that Mr. Rasmussen isn't.
Right. Got it. Okay, cool. I think we can definitely start with, I actually really want to start with that. There are a number of workers who are moving around. They're moving peat, or they're moving machinery, or they're going around, they're moving pipes and such. Some are at the boiler maintaining the various different pressures and stuff. I suspect that the people who are walking by you as you make your way up to them, what's your approach? What's the pickup line?
Oh, it is just straight up movie. What the fuck is this character? She is wearing an animal pelt over her shoulders, a fine dress with no petticoats, bare feet, and squelching mud splashed up to her knees,
Mm-hmm.
and walking with her hand on like the ruff of her hound dog,
Right.
just being like, so dead babies, and messing with the machinery and haunted cold machines. What's going on?
Oh
Just
man,
non sequitur, walking up to people and throwing random facts and seeing what they do.
what is this?
I love it.
I'm gonna give you your choice. At first, they're kind of taken aback at this sight. They're unaccustomed to it. And then when these are your words, right? Um, I'm gonna give you your choice, either manipulation or inspiration. I just don't know which one. I feel more behind on this one, and you're trying to shock them into just spilling stuff.
Yep.
So your choice is manipulation or inspiration. Oh no, look at you go. So the first person you walk up to
Another 6.
is two of them. Comes up to you and so weird things happening, and he says, "Oh, look, I know that sounds really exciting and everything, but oh my goodness, we're tired of it. We're tired of all these strange things. There's just only so much. This isn't what I signed up for." It's almost as if you were exactly what this person needed. This isn't the sort of thing that we signed up for. We were supposed to come out, run a steam engine, harvest some peat, a couple of months, easy paycheck. But oh, I mean, you joke about it, but there's some weird stuff going on out here.
Well, what else is there? Mr. Rasmussen was very convinced it was just the dead baby, but there's got to be more.
Just a
Well,
dead baby.
the dead baby is a weird thing, that's for sure. But I mean, just listen, really listen.
It's hard with all that racket from the machine.
No, just listen. Really close your eyes. You can hear it. Roll a vigilance. In fact, everybody can roll a vigilance.
Yes, I want to hear the baby cry. Oh, whoops. What just happened? Let me try that again. There we go. Oh,
So,
wow.
vigilance is those who succeed, because you're all beginning the process of investigating. So you're tuning into your environment, and those of you who succeed. Is that a bird? Is that like a waterfowl? No, that's a baby crying.
Uh,
Is it a baby crying? And you look, right? But the problem is the sound isn't coming from a direction. It's it's everywhere. And as you look around to see the source of this crying, you become aware that you can't see the ground anymore. There is a fog rolling into camp. And this is not a fog rolling into camp that you are familiar with. It is moving almost like a wave coming in, instantly covering your feet and your ankles. It rolls in like like more of a liquid than we would normally associate it with. And in a matter of seconds, it has snaked its way through the tents. It has snaked its way around the machine that Edvard and Trish were going to, like, you're looking down at this machine and you're like, this darn fog. Wait, this darn fog. And as you begin to look around, the bog and this hollow are now inundated with this fog, and the workers stop. And Tatiana, the worker that's talking to you, looks around and goes, "Oh, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. This isn't what they paid us for." And before you have an opportunity to follow up on that, from out of this fog, this green light, just a uniform green light shines through the fog. In the areas where the fog is thinner, shafts of this green light come out. And over the sound of the machine, you begin to hear the screams of the workers. Right away, Trij, you know this green color. And Tatiana, you know this green color. But it's coming out of a fog, and that's pretty freaky. So I need everybody to roll a fear check.
Okay.
Are you going to use your brain and your logic to ration us away, or are you using your empathy and your heart to
I want
overcome
to use
this fear?
my empathy because I've seen this before. Well, maybe I would use logic then because it would be like a memory.
Needed. So what skill is it for fear?
For fear, you're rolling either your attribute logic or you're rolling your attribute
Okay.
empathy.
So it's a straight roll with no
It's a
skills
straight
there.
empathy with
Oh.
no amount of training can help you with this.
I'm going to do logic because last time I freaked out and punched somebody,
True.
and I still
And
did
you're
that.
still freaking out.
Hopefully I don't punch somebody this time.
So it looks like Ernst has a success. Would anybody like to push that roll? There's
you do that by
push.
taking a
You just
mental...
push. Yeah, you'll push the push button. It'll ask you to take a mental attribute.
Okay.
And then you will re-roll. But I see a success for Edvard. Is that correct? Did I see a success for Edvard? No,
Yep.
wait, I didn't.
Oh,
Angry.
I saw a success for Ernst. Yes.
yes.
And now Ernst is Ernst also, wait, what is Ernst now? Or did you
That's just
make
success.
Oh, I made it.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
made
have
it.
to push.
Yeah, no
you
push.
you just logicked your way through it. Very
It's
good.
good.
Excellent.
I've been reading enough. I'm used to this idea.
Edvard
Where
passed. Okay. So, Tatiana, how do you respond to this moment? What is your fear response? Do you flee? Do you freeze? Do you fight? Or do you... Oh, I've already forgotten the fourth one.
So I pushed and I took the mental state frightened.
So you could freeze.
So
Oh, the
it's
last one.
freeze.
The last one is, yeah, you can flee, you can freeze, you can faint, or you can fight.
Where do I know this green light from?
Your automatic writing. Even though you couldn't write it because you don't have colors, you saw it in your automatic writing. It's the eyes
Okay.
that you were trying to emulate.
Okay. She's going to lay down, pulling the pelt over her in order to hide. And just like, she's not going to be happy with herself when she comes out of this, but she's just going to become one with the mud and hope this thing ignores her.
So you will render yourself completely immobile as you freeze underneath your wolf pelt. Very good. And then Trij, did
Did bad.
Okay, so how are you? Are you punching somebody?
I
Or
really don't want to punch the old man, so can I please go punch a tree? I don't know.
you're at the steam engine. You could
Okay.
you
Can I go punch
could
the steam engine?
you could absolutely take it. I think, unless you, I'll give you an idea, and if you like it, you can roll with it or not. You're having a fear response to the fog, so you strike out at the fog, but the steam engine is there.
Okay.
So basically, you punch the steam engine.
Yeah.
It's an immovable object. You punch it. You probably bruise your.
That's my default fear response.
Trish has chosen violence.
Yeah, I must punch.
As
You don't understand me punch.
As this fog rolls in and this light emanates, and we see Tatiana like descend into the fog, and Trij strike out at the fog. Ernst and Edvard, you are aware And as you look around, you see 3 or 4 of the workers just run.
Since
They run.
I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
since I'm around Edward, can I call out like it's the bird or something like that? Like, oh, it's the same. It's the bird. It's the bird.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you're swinging out at this fog. It's emanating this green light. It's the bird. It's the bird. Edvard, you're hearing that. You're seeing that from Trish. And you look out and you see workers, 3, 4 of just run out into the fog. And you and Ernst both know that that way the bog lies. And they're just running. And they disappear into the fog, screaming into the distance.
Like as they're running, I will angrily yell at them in like very authoritative voice of like, hold fast, do not run. Come to your
And
senses.
And those are the final sounds that we will hear as we end tonight's session. The mystery deepening, perhaps of Vaesen flexing its muscles. Some of the locals unable to control their fear, fleeing off into the distance. But we will unearth more of this mystery in 2 weeks. Thanks to my players. Thanks for everybody who joined us this evening. We'll see you in 2 weeks as we continue the mystery of the devil on the moor.